persistence. What is persistence? Persistence is continuing a course of action in spite of opposition, opinions, difficulty, and backing yourself. So persistence, I know through my life I've lacked persistence, mainly judged by my own beliefs, but also by the people around me, which have put on beliefs I've followed, opinions of myself, opinions of what I can achieve, or more importantly, believing what I can't achieve, and that influenced me to actually not pursue. So, by being persistent, then I've learned through actually actioning, and don't get me wrong, I've kind of, through my own difficulty, through my own pain, I've got rid or distanced myself from people who have a negative opinion, a negative view, who encourage me not to try something because in their opinion, from their agenda, they found it hard to do, and they would subsequently think that I won't be able to do it myself. But I've found that my own persistence in my own way of working has allowed me to develop and grow within myself. Is learn that actually if I'm persistent at doing something, if I stick to the same way of my aim, my goal at the end, that I actually grow from it. I actually learn about myself through it. I actually overcome my own beliefs, my own opinions of myself, and I raise the bar within myself. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, and yeah, it's hard, and it's something which you have to learn to accept. But once you start doing it and continue to do it, you realise that actually the benefit of doing it is humongous. The benefit within me is humongous. So persistence, and we need persistence if we want to live out our dreams, our goals, our passions, our aspirations, because we're always going to hit hurdles, we're always going to hit brick walls, we're always going to hit difficulties in achieving where we want to be. That's part of being persistent in his views, persistent in his actions, persistent in his mindset, persistent in what we do. And we've got to keep persistent in order for us to achieve, not fall at the first hurdle, not decide that I'm going to listen to the person next to me who tells me that their opinion that it's difficult or it's not worth pursuing. Because you've got to remember that it's in the pursuit of achieving, in your persistence of what you want, it's not the accomplishment at the end which makes you grow. It's what you learn in the journey going on that pursuit, whether that accomplishment you win or fail against it. I'm learning more and more of that. I'm developing more and more on that it's about knowledge, it's about planning, it's about action, and following that loop of then learning more about what I've been on, the journey, the knowledge, the planning, the action, and background again, the journey, and it continues. But that's how you develop persistence. That's how you exercise that muscle, that persistence muscle. And I keep referring to going to the gym and working on your bicep. And the more you work on that bicep, the more you exercise and do different exercises on that bicep, over time, as much as it's uncomfortable and it's painful and you feel stress from that, from your bicep, through persistence of working through the hard work on that exercise, on that bicep, it gets stronger and bigger. And that's the same as persistence. Soon as you get past the first difficulty and the second difficulty, the third and the fourth and the fifth, through repetition, becomes easier, because you know it's just part of the journey. It's a part of understanding the difficulty you have. Same with opinions in your mindset, opinions of those around you. As soon as you start through persistence overcoming them and continuing the journey, as much as you might seem that to be hard and uncomfortable, and it kind of, when I say uncomfortable, let me get this clear, that being uncomfortable is something within inside of us what tells us that it don't necessarily, it's something which goes against who we are, and ourselves, our subconsciousness fights it and tells us that, you know, we shouldn't be doing this, that we need to stop because it's something which we can't get, you know, it's out of our realms of who we are. But we've got to, in terms of understanding the realms of who we are, we've got to go beyond that in order for us to grow, in order for us not to stand still no more. And persistence is a major key to that. Persistence and exercising the persistence of continuing and continuing and continuing until you've reached the end, whatever that end is, whatever that ultimate goal is. And only through then will you know whether you've managed to that goal to be a reality. But remember that in the pursuit of reaching that goal, which is what makes or breaks you, it's what you go on in your journey, developing yourself to reach that goal. That's where your growth is. So persistence is such an important part, such an important way in which we've got to exercise that muscle in persistence. It allows us to look at what's around us and see if we need to distance ourselves. And I say that with a heavy heart, because when it's close family and friends who have that opinion, who have that agenda through their own viewpoint and pass it on to other people, i.e. us, then it's hard to distance. But when I say distance, I'm not saying that we stop picking up the phone or we stop going to see them or we stop, having contact with them. No. You know, family and friends are so important because they only really, a lot of the time, have only want to share and stop you from getting hurt from their experience. But are we going to generate our experiences if we follow their lead and follow what they do? We're not. So we only can go on this journey. And when I say distance ourselves, I mean we stop telling them about what we're planning, what we're thinking, what our opinions are, or where we're going. We just keep it to ourselves, and we do it, and we generate those people and meet people who are similar minded to us. Then we can discuss it more with them, if that's forums or if that's going to, I know it's quite tricky right now with the pandemic, but meeting up at meet and greet places, making connections and contact that way. But either way, you eventually start bringing in, through the work you're doing, through the growth you're doing, the people who think they're similar to you. And that happens over time. Patience is another exercise muscle we need to be able to exercise to make it stronger, to make it bigger, so we can pursue. And we'll talk about patience another time, because it's so rightly attached to persistence. But we've got to be able to confront an action, and regardless of what's put in his way, persist through it. Through persistence then allows us to, in so many ways, grow as a person, grow in what we do. And the knock-on effect of that is people will be able to see that within us and either want to join that journey, and we're being inspiring to them that we can continue to do what we're doing, or it allow them to step back because they realise that your growth is outgrowing them. And when people say you've changed or you're different, well, take that as a compliment. Really take that as a compliment. It's a massive compliment to me, because I've changed my mindset that that's a good thing, because it means that I am growing. I ain't stood still. I ain't doing the same things I do every day and thinking the same way I think everywhere. I'm actually growing, and through growth you change as a person. Your worldview changes. Everything about you changes. So I come to you discussing persistence, and it's been a hard muscle I've had to exercise and grow, but I've done it because, for me, I hit rock bottom in my own life, and everything I talk about through the life, through my journey, starting a startup and showing you that this is me, is because all these I've had to exercise and grow to get bigger, so it becomes a part of who I am and what I do. And I want that for you. I want to share what I go through, what I've experienced, and inspire you to be understood by explaining how it works within my life, my mentality, the people around me. So you can have a reference point, you can have a roadmap, a strategy to understand that this is normal. It's normal to do this, it's normal to feel this. I try and give steps, I try to give as much as I can to you, because I want to share this with you. I want the best for you. I want you to know that you don't have to settle for who you are. And I mean, I'm sharing this now because I work, paid work, to pay the bills. My side hustle is this, what I'm doing now, and starting a company from a product I've developed. But I'm having to still work. I'm on a break now, and I'm coming at you through persistence, because right now that's, I'm having to persist, both my own inner thoughts as well as myself in my people around me would not want me to persist, but I'm not. So that's persistence. This is my life, my journey, my startup. This is me.